And we're live. This is episode 14. It's season 2 of the Love Doctor live stream. I'm the loves. Look at this. I'm blocking the screen. We have the fantastic Joe Kiddo and Felicia Rayne here with me. Fantastic to see the two of you. I haven't even poured my drink yet. I'll get my drink out at this point. I received a beautiful gift this week. Somebody decided to hand me a little bit of this. So this isn't a paid promotion whatsoever. Monkey 47. This is the world's best gin, according to several contests. And now I have to figure out how to open it up so I can pour myself a gin. I'm not sure if I'm going to put mix in it or not, because it is like one of those fine liqueurs. What's everyone else drinking or consuming this evening?
Vodka. It's always vodka.
The answer to life's problems. It's always vodka.
Always vodka.
You know, there's better uses for potato. I'm just putting that out there. But welcome. What are you mixing your vodka with?
I'm classy, so it's orange juice and Kool-Aid.
Nice. That gives it the nice reddish flavor. And still you get your vitamin C.
Look at that natural color.
We're not making it any natural. Am I hearing animal scrabblings around?
Yeah, it's probably my cats. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, all is good.
Yeah.
Joe,
they probably come and say hi at some point, by the way.
That would be fantastic. And then we'll win the internet. Let me see if I can get the pop of this right.
Oof.
Real
it's
cork.
the same sound when I pull my anal beads out. It's like...
Oh my goodness. This is so delightful. What are you drinking, Joe?
Smell?
Beer. I'm a beer kind of person. Yeah. I have
what?
Hundreds of beers in my fridge and pantry at all times. I'm always ready for beer.
You're always ready for beer. Is it especially? Yeah. It looked like a very orange color to it.
Yeah, I'm an IPA kind of person, so I like bitterness and like citrusy and like bitter. So yeah, that's my
Tell
vibe.
me about it. I'm all about being bitter.
I know, right? Me too.
All right, I am going to put a little bit of mix in this because it's going to go down far too easy. We got people tuning in, and I haven't even addressed their comments yet. Welcome everybody to the show. Let's see. We've got Wendy Bonbons. Hello, all the way from Newfoundland, saying hello. Wendy, it's a pleasure to see you. And we've got Goddess Starla Vamp. Good evening, Goddess. I believe, is it next week or the week after? Goddess will be on the show as well. And if you are tuning in, tell us what you're drinking and where you're watching from. We're going to be answering your questions about love, sex, and relationships. I'm just going to put this out there right now. There is this is how you can ask questions anonymously. You just go to slido.com or sli.do. Either one works. And the event code is TLD214 because it's season 2, episode 14. Or you can just write your questions in chat and we will answer them directly. Yes, Goddess will be here next week. There we are. Just going to put not too much of that. But I know if I was just to drink it straight, it'd be very sloppy way too soon in the show. Felicia knows that I prefer to wait to get sloppy.
And I'm always sloppy.
All right. Are we ready to get started with some of the questions that were sent in ahead of time?
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, good. You're tired of my rambling.
No, I just love it. I want to answer all the questions.
All the questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to start out answering all the questions by reading from the bottom first. My boyfriend is going back to work in a bar, and I was wondering if it's rude to ask him to take a rapid test and text me a photo of the results before we get together. I'm not immunocompromised or anything, but I do work in close contact with the elderly, and my patients mean the world to me. All right, we got a heavy question starting off. Felicia, you're in a hot seat.
Yeah, I don't think that's inappropriate at all. I think especially the way you're framing it, like I think to say like, hey, hun, like, you know, I appreciate you're going back to work. I'm actually really happy for you. Also, keep in mind that I do work with the elderly and I take my patients' care very seriously. And, you know, would you feel comfortable taking a rapid test? It would really put my mind at ease. Could you do this for me? And I think if you frame it like that, like, I mean, I know that there's a lot of COVID is a hot button topic for a lot of people. You have the people that like, I don't want to get vaxxed and I do get vaxxed and I don't want to wear the mask and I want back to normal and I don't want back to normal. But I mean, like, honestly, it's everyone's responsibility to at least make the people around you, you know, feel comfortable, especially if you're sharing, you know, a residence with them. If you guys are together, spending time together, then I don't think that that's asking too much. I think that's very appropriate.
Boom. All right. Joe.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. And I think the pandemic is something that's been really hard on all of us. And we have to do what makes us safe and comfortable and think of other people as well, especially the loved ones. So I'd say go for it and ask him. Yeah.
I think both of you said great things. I would the only thing I would add to that is the fact is, it sounds like you're nervous to ask them. And if you are nervous to do such a reasonable request to your partner, there might be some underlying issues that you need to talk about. Because if they would be offended in how you care for the people you work with, you work around, then maybe your relationship needs a deeper conversation. And I was just a bit of a prick on that one, but I think I'm addressing some of the subtext in the question.
And I don't think that's being a prick. I think, you know, relationships come down to communication. And here you're sort of widening it. It's not just about COVID. There's a communication issue underlying here. If you're feeling nervous that you can't ask the person that you're intimate with something that's important to you, then yeah, maybe you want to dive a little bit deeper. Like, has there been other times that you've brought things up where he hasn't reacted well, that's giving you that apprehension? Is communication an issue for you? So I think that's not being a prick, love doctor. That's getting right to the heart of the problem.
And that's what we're about here, is getting to the heart. Hello, everyone that's watching. You can always add your questions in anonymously or put them in chat. And don't forget to say hi to talk to us. And we're moving on to the next question. Natural eyebrows or tweezed and waxed? I'm going to admit something here. I'm just going to lower these a little bit. I do not tweeze or wax my eyebrows. They just don't seem to exist. And as far as I'm concerned, it's everybody should have autonomy over their own body. So do what you want. Felicia.
Oh, that's not fair. Yes, politically correct. Do what you want. You're allowed to do what you want with your body. Also, tweeze your brows. No, I'm just kidding. For me, though, listen, don't take advice from me on eyebrows, because for a very huge part of my life, I shaved them off. And that was after my mother said, don't do that because they won't grow back right. I was like, Mom, you don't know anything. I know everything because I'm 18. And guess what? My mom was right. They don't grow back right. So, you know, I know that people, some people have like tweezing anorexia. Like they're just like, oh, just like one more hair. And then they're left with like a little line and they're like, oh God. So, you know, I mean, if you want to maintain your eyebrows, I think a good best practice is going to see someone. There are brow technicians that study this. There's actually a golden ratio that you're supposed to respect when you're actually designing your brow. So if you're not comfortable doing it, just put your brows in somebody else's hands. But yes, to your point, I mean, if you want to go for the natural, that's what's in, by the way. Like I work in the industry. The big, thick Brooke Shields natural brow is 100% back. People are even doing the soap trick again, where you comb soap through to really give it that definition, that fluffy look. But that being said, like, if you don't want to follow trends and you want to have a sculpted, thin, you know, Jennifer Aniston circa Friends brow, like, I mean, go for it. I mean, they're your brows. It's, you know, and remember, they're sisters, not twins. Sometimes they're not even related.
Here I am feeling like I'm so unfashionable by not having eyebrows. Joe,
Mona Lisa didn't. Worked out for her.
Oh yeah. I have absolutely, I'm sorry, nothing to say about eyebrows. I've never touched them at all. They've always been supernatural. So to me, it's more of a, I didn't know, so I just rather didn't do anything to them. But I would go with what Felicia said. When in doubt, just go to a professional, someone who knows better. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Great answers, everybody. We have a couple of comments have come in. Mr. Portugal, hi, lovely people living for this look. Felicia, great answers to this first question, y'all. There we are, Misty. And we have Louisiane Raymond. Septum soon, Joe?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it more and more. I talked about it on Instagram, and I'm thinking of having a piercing here. So I think that's what she's referring to. So
All
we'll
right.
see.
We'll see. We'll see. Now, for the next question, why do people find kissing in the rain hot? Joe.
Oof. All right. I don't know. I guess it's kind of that image we got from all of those romantic movies and comedies and things. I think it's more of a, yeah, more related to pop culture than it is to actually the act, because depending on the rain, it's not that great. If it's that little, like, thin, super windy kind of rain, it sucks, honestly. So I think the more talking about those kind of super deep, passionate movies, cases with like the music in the back and the violins. But I don't have violins playing when I'm kissing in the rain, sadly. So I don't know about that.
Understood. All right. I just a couple comments have come in here. Christopher Kelly saying hi from Vermont. Love Doctor. Welcome back, Christopher.
Sweet, merciful Jesus. Yes, welcome back, Christopher.
Oh, that picture seems to have gotten
Holy Mother of God.
Felicia's
No
attention.
subtlety here.
And Misty Portugal is saying, do it, Joe. I have one and I love it. So
right.
There's a vote for the septum. You know what? I think Joe was completely right saying the pop culture influence. And I think the people who wrote that pop culture had never lived in a place where the rain was cold. Because Canada, what the fuck are you doing with this weather? All right, Felicia.
So I'm one of those people that is 100% conditioned by pop culture. The minute this question came up, I was like, Breakfast at Tiffany's, the last scene when they find the cat in the rain and they kiss. Like, that's exactly where I went. Also, I'm going to say this because my answer varies a little bit differently. I do think pop culture plays a huge part, but there's I really love synthwave. It's my favorite type of music. My favorite band is this band called The Midnight, and they have a song called Endless Summer, and one of the lyrics in it says 4 bare feet on a rain-soaked street, and it's talking about a couple that fell in love for the first time in the summer, and that image is so evocative to me because I remember that. I remember being my first summer love, being outside, kissing in the rain, and I always related it more to the fact that it's you're in nature. So there's something very primitive. It's very, to me, it's very sexual. Like you're outside, you're getting wet. Like it's sexual. Like and I think it makes it very intimate. It makes it very hot. You're right. I mean, if it's freezing or if it's like a gale force wind, it's less romantic. But like, I don't know, if it's a warm summer night and it starts to drizzle and, he leans in, Christopher, whatever. And, I say like, go for it. I'm like, kiss me in the rain. Kiss me in the shower. Kiss me wherever you want.
All right. Again, warm rain is nice to be kissing somebody in, but just the cold. All right. We're going to move on to the next question. Next question is it a red flag if the person paying for the meal doesn't tip or tips poorly? Felicia.
Yes. Absolutely. I actually remember going on a date once where the guy was just so rude to the waitress that I was upfront at the end. I was just like, I'm just letting you know, you were just so horrific tonight with the staff that I'm like, I have no interest in seeing you again. You're rude, you're condescending. And he was like, oh no, but like, you know, like I didn't like the service. I'm like, it's inappropriate. Like the way you acted was inappropriate, and I would not want to go out with you again. So I think especially nowadays in the context of COVID and how difficult things have become for so many people, you know, I always see on Instagram the be kind to the people that are at work, like they showed up, you know. And so don't be a dick. Like it's really hard out there right now. I understand that people are in financial situations where maybe you can't tip, you know, 20%, like that's I understand that. That's 100% understandable. But like someone who's leaving like a bad tip or no tip at all, I'm like, yeah, that's a huge no for me. That's a deal breaker.
All right, and a comment has come in saying, Felicia, you just became my favorite guest ever. You flatter me. So I wanted to make sure your face was nice and large for that.
Well, you've been my favorite audience member ever.
Felicia's blushing. Joe Kiddo, your answer to the question.
Yeah, tipping is sexy. Like, tip everybody. Tip your dancers, your barber, your delivery people. Like, everybody deserves tipping, especially as Felicia was saying, especially right now. Like, we've been all through a lot of stuff, and it's been hard. So, like, that's the least we can do when people do something for us, whether it's in a restaurant or anywhere else. We should always tip.
I agree.
Boom. Both of you answered this greatly. I do have a story to share. Joe Starr is an American actor and comedian, and I was having lunch with him and two other people in the industry. Here I'm name dropping, by the way, but in the Village, and we went to a place that I won't name, but has a train on the inside, and our simple sandwiches took an hour to get to our table. Our waitress seemed very flustered, and apparently the holdup was in the kitchen. One of the people at the table went across the street, got a pizza, came back and sat at the table, ate 2 slices of pizza before the sandwiches showed up. And Joe remained an absolute darling through all of it. And then he tipped a $50 bill. And one of the other people, industry people there, said, you know, that is a great way to make them feel even worse. And he says, I'm not doing it to make them feel worse. I'm doing it because she's having a bad day. She's having arguments with the kitchen, and she needs a little bit of a brighten up. And I thought that is proof to me that he is one of the classiest gentlemen I have ever met. And he was in the last Kevin James sitcom. So playing Enzo from Enzo's Pizzeria. I can't remember what the name of the show was, though.
For me, that even goes beyond tipping. The point of that is sometimes you can just be nice for no reason. You're allowed to do that. You don't have to justify it. There doesn't have to be. And like the other person who's like, oh, now you made her feel worse. No, I'm absolutely not. No, I'm very sorry. We don't do enough kindness, and that's why it stands out. That's the fucked up thing. The reason that person made that comment is we're so not used to being kind and generous and attentive with one another that when someone does it, someone else is like, why are you doing that? Because we're human beings, and it's respectful and it's fun. And sometimes you're having a shit day, and that one person who decides to be like, you know what, I'm just going to do a little thing. They might just be like, hey, I love your hair. It might be the smallest thing in the world, but sometimes that little thing will make the entire difference in someone's day. So, you know, start with kindness. Just start with kindness. Everyone is tired. Everyone's fed up. Start with kindness.
Whoa, said beautifully. I there's something that I say on stage probably more than occasionally, but I say all I want is everyone in the world to treat everyone else like they themselves wish to be treated, except masochists. Right?
But you
can just
call
chill.
me.
Yeah. Now, if any masochists are out there and are hurt by what I've said, you're welcome. All right.
Incorrigible.
If you had to describe your sex life as a theme park ride,
Sweet fuck.
which would you be? Call me Splash Mountain if you catch my drift. Well, congratulations, Splash Mountain. I'm in the hot seat. I'll go with the tilt-a-whirl. That's what I'll say. Goddess Starla has given an LOL on us. And also a zing. There we are. Felicia.
Okay, so when I was very little, I went to Marineland. Not politically correct to do today, but I was like 8, so wasn't really aware of how bad that was for the whales. But I will say this. They had a ride, and the ride was called Magic. And Magic is described as a ride that moves in 7 different directions simultaneously. So you're in like a little pod that spins, and the arm spins, and it goes up and down, and it spins on its axis. That is what my sex life is like, because my sex life is very disorienting. I sometimes have a great time on the ride. It's fun, but most of the time I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That is me 90% of the time in my sex life going, this is all going very quickly. There seems to be things flying around. I'm not really sure what's happening. Am I enjoying it? Sure. Maybe I'll be sick after. I don't know. But it's always magic.
Magic. Joe.
Can I say I'd like to be the entire theme park? Like, because I can't think of just one ride I would be, because I'm on the asexual spectrum. So sometimes I have a lot of sex, sometimes I don't have a lot of sex, sometimes I don't have sex at all. And so sometimes I just want to be the person just waiting for the popcorn or just enjoy a drink and just walk around, because I don't feel like getting on rides because I'm scared. So yeah, sexuality can be weird and difficult sometimes. And so I just want my options to be open. So I want to be the entire park. Fuck it. Yeah.
I love it. Fuck it. I'm the whole goddamn Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
I guess that makes Joe Kiddo the happiest place on earth.
Oh, I wish I was. Yeah. I'm going to call all of my exes and ask them if I was for them. They're all gonna say no, but hey, who knows?
I did realize though, as a heavier person with a soft bed, I'm probably more like the graviton. It's just everything sort of.
Stop.
That was funny. That was good.
Stop.
All right. I'll stop and bring up the next question. What's your favorite first date location? Joe.
I'd say first the public space for sure, because you never know who you're getting into a date with. And sadly, we live in a society where we have to be careful. That's not really funny answer, but I really feel like that's part of our lives. But then I think like a nice little quiet little bar with like nice cocktails and like something to share at the table, like with low lights, so even if you have seats or something, they're not gonna see them too much, and just be like cozy and like all closed up and all. Yeah, I think like I'm thinking of one bar in particular in Montreal called Le Suzanne. It's in Le Plateau, and like it's super nice, and they have like little dumplings you can share and like oysters and stuff, and like the cocktails are immaculate. So yeah, that's my place.
Boom. All right. There was something you said there that I kind of want to, like, if it's the first time meeting someone, yes, a public space. But if it's a date, I assume hopefully that you know each other beforehand.
Well, with all the dating apps that exist today, most of the time now, well, to my experience, like sometimes you just chat on Tinder or something like that for a bit, and you both decide to meet up. And that's what I was thinking of. Like, you don't really know the person, you decide to go on a date with them, and so you have to think of something like
public, which that makes tons of sense. And a cozy bar, but one that's not too loud. You have to look for the things that allow you to chat. Like I know plenty of really bad first date locations, such as going to a live show because you can't chat. Going to a movie, you can't chat. I mean, it'll give you something to talk about afterwards. But a bar that plays music too loud, unless you're both very much into dancing, is also a bad choice. So cheers for thinking a cozy, snuggly bar that plays quiet music where you can sit in the dark and your friends have your emergency number. All right, Felicia.
Well, I don't date, so I have a very active sex life. I love meeting people, but I have huge issues around commitment, trust, and vulnerability. So I do not date, and which is really funny because while everyone was like, cozy bars, you can be intimate and talk, I was just like, the first thing that came into my head was like, picnic électronique, where the music will be super loud, there'll be 10 million people, and if I don't like you, I can get lost in the crowd. Like that was my go-to. So yeah, I'm not very good with the dating stuff, which is funny because I bumped into a dear friend of mine today, Paul. He's the loveliest person, and that was one of the things I said. I only sleep with people as Felicia, and I'm not trans. I do identify as a drag queen who still identifies 100% as male, and I live as Daniel, but I don't sleep with anyone as I haven't had sex as Daniel, I think in like 8 years. And so it makes dating very complicated because they'll be attracted to Felicia and then I have to be like, but you'd be dating Dan and sleeping with Felicia. It's very complicated. So I don't do it. No dating.
But this is something that you are working on, I do believe.
I'm trying. It's a process. It's a process. I have a wonderful team of therapists. It's a team now.
You know what? If you ever meet somebody who says that they don't have anything to work on, they are toxic. Get the fuck away. All right?
Yeah. Agreed.
So identifying our problems and working on them is the best thing you can do to be a better human being. And we're ready for our next question?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Can a friend with benefits have multiple beneficiaries, or is it exclusive to one person? There we go, Felicia.
This is not going to come as a surprise to anyone, but I prefer that they have other beneficiaries. I get very freaked out when they're like, oh, you're the only person I'm seeing. I'm like, can you see other people too? It really, like, honestly, I am a commitment phobe. Like, so I really like honest, I'm on Grindr. That's my thing. So it's not even Tinder. I'm on Grindr. And the number of times that I get straight married men who, and this is saying a lot about me, but those are really my favorite men because I know there will be no attachment or commitment. And I was raised Catholic. And I have a whole bunch of contradictions. So I don't agree with what they're doing. I'm like, you're an adulterer and, you're going to burn in the fiery rings of hell. But at the same time, I'm like, I like the fact that I know you're going home to your wife or girlfriend. I don't want you to get wrapped up in us seeing each other regularly. I very rarely have friends with benefits. You really have to be someone that I feel very comfortable with for me to want to see you multiple times.
Boom. Joe?
I think it depends. I think you have to be okay with it. And I think you have to communicate about what you want from one another and just agree on that. If you're not okay with them see other people because you don't, then you might need a bigger conversation. If you're okay with it, that's cool. And vice versa, they can be not okay with you seeing more than one people if they want something just a bit more exclusive. So I guess it just all depends on what you guys agree on and what you're comfortable with and going on with your life. But I think the main take here is do what's comfortable for you and go with your boundaries. And boundaries are healthy. And never settle for less than what you deserve or think you deserve, because, yeah, that's what matters.
Boom. I will have to I agree a lot with Joe on this. There are anytime that you are in a relationship with someone, it is good to sort of define the boundaries of what is expected and what is not expected. And if you agree to something, hold to that agreement. But and if you have like a friend with benefits and they want to be exclusive, like there should be a reason, or else that is a relationship. Like a friendship is a relationship, period. So if anyone's asking you to be exclusive, that is a commitment of a type, and that makes a certain level of sense. Now you could say, well, like we don't see future with each other, but just because we want to maybe not be using condoms as birth control, or we want to, we for safety sake, you want to have a relationship that is going to have more of an exchange of fluids, then is probably that could be also a reason for it. So you need to define the relationship and define its boundaries and define the reasons.
I would also like to applaud both the Love Doctor and Joe for talking about boundaries, because yeah, I do think, like, again, there's the addressing the question and then the overlying the scope of it. I think when it comes to anything in relationships, you really have to be very clear about your boundaries and respecting someone else's boundaries. It facilitates any I don't want to say issue, but anything that arises in a relationship that might be causing friction. If you start speaking about boundaries and have open communication, it is the healthiest way to deal with it, because oftentimes it's like, I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes if you don't set boundaries with me, I have borderline personality disorder, and so I struggle to figure them out on my own. Like, there's times where I might overstep. There's times where you might want me to step forward and I'm not, because I'm unsure. So it really helps when someone's like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm comfortable with, because it'll allow me to really open up more than I would if I was uncertain of where that boundary lies. So I think being open about boundaries and talking about it is, again, a really good best practice if you're serious about moving forward in any type of relationship, friendship, or even work colleagues. I think sometimes you have to set boundaries with work colleagues and be like, you are a work associate and maybe not a friend or a bestie or whatever. Just be very clear on sort of what you're looking for from the other person.
Very well said. Very well said. All right, we're ready for the next question. Do you think everyone should have a box of feminine hygiene pads at their house, regardless of their gender? All right, I'm in the hot seat. Everyone is a strong word, but I think it's a good idea. I mean, maybe if you live in a monastery and there's no women around or anyone with a vagina or an ovulation cycle within 10,000 miles, you could probably get away with it. But to have that little emergency gift and not be afraid to give it to somebody who needs it, it's just another way of being kind. Felicia.
Yeah, I actually love this. I'm going to be really honest here. I've never thought of that. I have extra toothbrushes at my house and like things like that, where I'm like, if someone stays over, I'm like, hey, I have a toothbrush. But I 100% am going out to get a box of pads tomorrow. I can tell you that right now. I think that's fantastic. Like, yes, I mean, I'm trying to put myself. Contrary to popular belief, I've never been in that situation where I've needed a pad, but I'm putting myself in that position. I was like, that must be very uncomfortable. And to be in a place where you wouldn't have access to that, I'm like, no, I think that's a great thing to do. Like, yes, I applaud that. I'm 100% down. And to your point, Love Doctor, everyone is a strong word, but if you're comfortable doing with it, that's just a nice gesture. I like that a lot.
Boom. Thank you very much. And it is Joe Kiddo's turn.
Yeah, like definitely. I'm actually teaching that to all of the men in my life, because the women, I guess, tend to have more kind of stuff around their house naturally. But about the fact that if you're not around women or people with periods and stuff, you might not need those, but maybe they need them and they're just not comfortable talking about them yet. And so you kind of never know what's going on, you know? It's like, I say go for it. Like it's never going to be a loss. Worst case, you donate them to an organization one day if you're moving or something. Like it's not something that can go bad anyway. So like just have some in your drawer somewhere in your bathroom and you're good to go. They can last forever if nobody ever used them. So I try to teach that to all of my friends because this is such a small gesture that can make such a big difference in someone's life and someone's day. You should. Yeah.
Well said. I'm going to throw out a question to the panel, but also to anyone watching. Who here has a spare toothbrush, like an unused toothbrush in their apartment to give to a guest in case? So, like, if you have that, then having a feminine hygiene product.
I'm going to say this. The reason I do, though, is my mother was a dental hygienist. And this is a true story, what I'm about to share. On Halloween, my mom would give out candy. She would, but she would do little bags. So there'd be like, you know, a Reese's Pieces, a Mars bar, and she'd put in a mini toothpaste and a toothbrush. And so she became known as the tooth lady on the street. And they would actually, if kids rang the door, they'd be like, is the tooth lady home? And so, which I love because that was so my mother. My mother was like, have your candy, but make sure you brush. Like that was quintessential my mother. And so I think that's where it comes from me. Like I think the idea, I'm like, I should have a toothbrush because like I'm the tooth lady now. So, but to Joe's point, it's such a nice gesture that, and like to your point, the love doctor, if you have a toothbrush, why not have some pads? That's great. I love it. I'm giving you guys a challenge. I think anyone who's listening tonight, if you do not have pads at home, go out and buy some pads. Not expensive. They don't go bad, like Joe said. And it is a lovely, lovely gesture. Let's take care of each other. Love it.
Boom. And also the care packages going to the Ukraine. Some things that need to, among the many things, I have to do a shout out to Fifi Fantôme, who is a burlesque performer who started here in Montreal, but is currently living in Berlin, working in burlesque and circus. And they their circus has a lot of vehicles, so they've taken those vehicles into Poland to the Ukrainian border to help pick up refugees and bring them back to Berlin. And we have a comment from Misty saying, I always have a spare toothbrush, so having pads or tampons is a great idea. It's funny because I use the cup and often don't have any extra pads or tampons, and now I will make sure I have them. Thank you, Misty. And Felicia, I think the mystery of your beautiful smile has just been solved. Your mom.
I love, yeah. Jump, I'm gonna start to cry. I love.
All right. All the feels.
Such a
feel all the
lovely
feels. Here is the question: would you ever date someone who couldn't cook a basic meal? All right, Joe.
Well, I'm one of them, so yeah, I hope so. I should ask my boyfriend, but I guess he's dating me. So, and by the way, he's confirming that I'm the most magical place on earth. He's listening, so yeah. Yes, I know. He texted me saying, yeah, I confirm what they were saying. So I just wanted to share that because he's the most precious person. And so, yeah. If I could, I would call him right now to ask him if that's such a red flag that I can't even cook pasta or anything. But I guess I'm okay. I have other skills to offer, I guess, and add to the table.
Boom. I have to say, I've been to France, and it seems a basic meal there would be a baguette and some soft cheese. But yeah, see that works. And a bottle of wine. You can't forget the bottle of wine.
Oh yeah.
But would I ever date someone who can't cook a basic meal? I love to cook, but I tend to worry about people when they're not near me, and I think if I was worried about what they that they could starve in a fully stocked kitchen would give me an extra thing to worry about. So please, I don't know if I could deal with the extra stress in my life if they couldn't cook for themselves. Felicia.
I have got to land with Joe on this one. I'd be a huge hypocrite if I said it was a deal breaker because I do not cook. This is what I'm about to say is 100% true. I eat the same 3 meals every day. My breakfast, lunch, and dinner never change. Breakfast is a veggie omelet. Lunch is this little falafel nukum thing I get from Walmart. It's $3.49. It's called the Healthy Bowl. It's fantastic. This is not paid or endorsed by Walmart, but that's how good this falafel bowl is. You won't feel awful. Falafel. Every line can't be a zinger. And then finally for dinner, it's a veggie burger and a Campbell's veggie soup every day. It's the same thing. So I don't cook. I just repeat the same things. And so I'd be willing to learn though. That's my thing. If I was with someone that was like, hey, like, I think it's important that we don't just eat the same 3 meals all the time, I'd be like, cool, teach me and I will 100% learn. I'm just not very good at it. That's all.
Boom. All right. There's the answers. To find out that I am the only cook among the 3 of us is
shocking. No.
I would like to think that more than 1/3 of the entire world cooks. So we may not be a proper Oh, all right. Felicia is disagreeing.
I'm like, with Uber Eats the size that it is, I'm not sure that's true.
Point taken. Point taken. All right. Next question we have is, so what's the next step after identifying your own toxicity? What's the next step after identifying your own toxicity? Felicia.
Therapy. I am the biggest advocate of therapy. I've been in therapy since I was 17 years old and in and out of it for different reasons. I had a college professor. I was in sociology when I was in university. And I had a professor who said to me, everyone should be in therapy. That she was like, everyone should be in therapy, not all the time, but you should do check-ins. You should, like, we become afraid to approach certain topics. We all, like, to your point, Paul, I love Doctor, you said, like, we all have things that we are struggling with, you know? And so see a therapist. And for those of you that might be reticent, because I really do know how hard it is to make that first phone call to be like, I'm going to reach out. I am telling you, don't wait. Yes, you have to be ready. You have to be in a mindset to be like, I'm ready to deal with this. But at the same time, after my mom passed, I waited 8 years to really dive into therapy and unpack that. And it was 8 years that got very difficult. And there's always that, and like, there's the question, was I ready? Was I not ready? But like, just pull the Band-Aid off. You'll be happy you did, because you'll start feeling better after that first session. You really will. After you start speaking about it and you start realizing that it becomes smaller the more you talk about it. It's people think it's going to become bigger, but it's not. You start managing it. So you start to feel the control. So see a therapist, see someone who can help you. And the reason I say therapist and not friends and family is you want that objectivity. You want someone who doesn't know you, who isn't going to be biased, who can listen to you and provide professional, solid feedback and support.
Well said, Joe.
I agree 100% with what Felicia has just said. And also be nice with yourself. You just took the biggest step by realizing that you needed work, and it's going to be hard. It's going to take time, and you have to acknowledge that and know that it's okay not to go from being toxic, whatever that means to you, to being an angel or someone who's perfect. Nobody is. We're all working on stuff, and this is going to be a journey, and there is no final destination. You could always do more and do better and be better, and so you have to just be nice about that with yourself, because you're gonna have bad days and your toxicity is gonna come back at some point. You're gonna have episodes, if I can say, and that's okay. As long as you know that you're working on that, you're good, and we're proud of you, actually, and you should be proud too.
Joe, that is so beautifully said. And I love the fact that you talk about kindness with yourself, because I had a friend of mine who said to me once, when you start beating yourself up, is that helpful? when you start being like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I'm such an idiot. She goes, is that moving you forward, or is it negativity for the sake of negativity? And that really started to resonate with me, where I'm like, why do we do that? Like, and a therapist said to me once, a good filter to have is, would I say this to my best friend? If you're sitting there going, I'm such a fucking idiot, would you call your friend a fucking idiot? And if the answer is like, oh my God, I'd never do that, then why would you do it with yourself? Why do you hold yourself at a lesser standard than the people you love? And so kindness to yourself, like, bravo. I fully agree with that. We are human. We're human. And the fact that you reached out and went for help, that's already huge. So applaud and celebrate what you did. Continue to work on yourself, but be kind. There's no point in tearing yourself down.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you. Definitely therapy is a great first step. And then making the list of the things that you need to address in yourself as well, which is something therapy does help with. So, boom, I think that's good. We have a lot of questions that we have to get to. I do have one. You know what? After this next question, I'm going to make a very, very cool announcement. So let's get on to the next question. Here it comes. Do you think when love dies, the first thing to go is the sex? Do you think when love dies, the first thing to go is the sex? I like how they called it the sex. Joe?
No. Love and sex can be two different things. And they are, actually. And you can have relationships where you have one, but not the other. And you can be in love with someone and not have sex with them. And you can have sex with people and not be in love with them. So if love dies, that's just the love that's going away. It doesn't take away your connection or your friendship or the sex you might have with these person or people. And I think we live in a society that taught us that love and sex have to be related in some way or another, or have to be together most of the time. And we kind of learned for the past maybe 10, 20 years that, okay, we can have sex without the love. And I think we have to realize now that we can also have the love without having the sex. And I actually learned that only a year ago when I discovered that I was on the asexual spectrum, because I thought I was broken, because I didn't want to have sex with a partner I was very much in love with. And it was super hard. And I actually went for help and I looked for resources and everything. And all of the articles I could find were about how a successful relationship or successful or happy couple had to have sex. And it was just baffling to me, because I was like, so am I not happy in my relationship? I'm not happy with my partner? Because I thought I was. And actually, yeah, no, they don't have to be linked. And I don't think one goes with the other necessarily. And I think it's important to remember that sometime.
Boom. Good answer, Felicia.
I fully agree, 100% agree. Like I said, I absolutely love having sex. The love part is very, very complicated for me. So I don't think that they're necessarily linked. I think you can have I don't even think, I'm taking that out. I don't think you can have mind-blowing sex and have absolutely no emotional connection. That has been my most mind-blowing sex, has been with no emotional connection. That being said, I think the first thing to go when love exits a relationship, I think, is probably communication. And the reason I say that is that a distance starts to develop, and it starts to become hard to know how to approach the other person. So, and I'm saying this through what I've observed, and I want to make that clear, this is not firsthand experience. But from what I see in friendships, like I start seeing like, oh, I don't really feel connected to him. And I'm like, well, have you guys talked about it? No, we haven't talked in a while. That's what I end up hearing. I hear this like, well, we're not really speaking. And so again, listen, and this is my Catholic background again coming up, like I always hear like till death do us part. And I'm totally, you might come from another religious denomination, that might not be your belief. You might believe in polygamy. All of that is fine. But for me, the point I want to bring back, my grandparents were married until they passed. And was it an easy marriage? Absolutely not. I watched them fight. I saw good times. I saw bad times, but it was work. And I think that one of the things that's missing from today's generation is the fact that they think it's just going to be love all the time. And love is, it's hard. It's really like, the person I have loved the most in my life was my mother. Did we fight all the friggin' time? Like the woman could be a pain in my ass. Like, and I loved her with all my heart. So I think if you really love someone, you've got to sort of, you got to work at it. You've got to keep the communication. Like, and if you start feeling like you're pulling away, you have the option. Like maybe there's something legitimately there where you have fallen out of love. That's okay. But talk about it. For the love of God, at least address it. Like you can't just shut down and be like, well, the love died and now we're here. Like, it's like, do you want to work on it? Do you want to save it? Do you not want to save it? Do you want to move on? But like at least resolve it so that you're not in pain. Because I see so many people that stay in relationships where the love is gone and maybe the sex is gone, maybe it hasn't, but they're unhappy and they just won't talk about it. Just talk about it. Bad things do not come from talking about things. Things get resolved one way or the other. They get resolved.
Boom. All right. Nothing that I can really add there, other than it's definitely what makes a relationship work is work. But Felicia has covered that easily. I also have a little bit of an announcement right now to make. We're going to have to kind of speed up a bit because we have a lot of questions. But we have hit 100 subscribers. So next week we are going to be having giveaways for such wonderful things as this bag of synthetic rose petals. So, for a nice evening with your partner, etc. So there, congratulations. This show is actually run off of donations. I do want to point out the link tree right there is linktr.ee/Paul Ash. That's my manager. The first thing there is buy me a drink. Any money that comes in on that in the next 24 hours is split evenly among all the performers you're seeing on the screen. I also want to thank the people who are doing such a great job behind the scenes to help this keep moving. We got a woohoo from Goddess Starla, and we got a woo happy 100 from Misty Portugal as well. So thank you all. I'm going to keep the link tree running at the bottom for people. And I know times are difficult. Not everyone can donate. But if you give a like to it, to the video, or if you share it, that helps a small channel like this as well, and is greatly appreciated. Just like we appreciate the people who are writing the questions for us. And I'm going to bring in the next question right now. Do you actually have to wash your toys with a cleaner, or can you just use soap? Felicia.
I know this is going to maybe shock a lot of people. I don't have a lot of sex toys. I'm very much into role play. That's sort of my shocking. That's sort of my gig. I really, really, and when I say role play, I'm just throwing this out there for anyone listening. I'm the Meryl Streep of role play. I don't mean we do some cheesy, like, hi, I'm the plumber. Like, I want a fully realized character. Like, what is your motivation? Why are you here? Like, it has to be fully realizable. So that being said, like the sex toys that I do have, I just wash with soap and water. I don't buy a specific cleanser because I work in the beauty industry. And let me tell you, like, we're always like, yeah, buy this cleanser and, like to wash your brushes. And I'm like, Johnson & Johnson shampoo is even better. So you didn't hear that
I
from
knew
me.
it.
I swear to you, do not buy brush cleansers, buy Johnson. Here's the thing. If Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo can be used on a baby, it can be used on your brushes.
Boom. Boom. Joe.
Do your research before buying your toy, or ask someone at your local sex store. Depending on the toy, depending on what it's made of, depending on where it's been, where it's going, there are a lot of factors to take into consideration. So some of them can be washed with just soap. Some of them can't. It's just like lube. Depending on the toy, you can't use silicone-based or water-based or whatever. So do your research, know what you're getting into yourself as well before doing anything, because the consequences can be harsh. Yeah. Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. Soap does kill bacteria, but some things are not so safe. So use as Joe said, do your research. Brilliant answers from both of you. Oh, and I forgot to line up the next question, which I'll do right now. There it is. It's a directed question. Felicia, thank you for always being so vulnerable. Every time you're on the show, you make me think and feel more at ease with my own journey. And that has come from Wendy Bonbons themselves, who I hope to see in Montreal before the end of the month. So I guess, yeah, Felicia, you know I love you. You know that I think you're amazing.
Listen,
So,
I think that the vulnerability thing, it takes a lot of work, and there's times that I can be very vulnerable, and there's times that I also am not. And I mean, and I think even, you know, Felicia's a sign that it's hard for Dan to be 100% vulnerable. Like, this is very much a shield. I always give people that line from Pretty Woman. That's sort of what drag is to me, where, you know, Julia Roberts' character shows up at the polo match, and, you know, Richard Gere reveals to his lawyer, like, she's a prostitute. And then she said, well, you know, if you were going to tell people I was a prostitute, you should let me at least have dressed like a prostitute, because at least when I'm dressed like a prostitute, I know how to handle them. And so that's sort of what drag is for me. It's just like, if you attack me as Dan, I'm very vulnerable. I'm declawed, if you will. Felicia feels powerful. She feels confident because I can construct her to be that way. So I do appreciate it, Wendy. I think that's a very sweet comment. And I allow myself more vulnerability as Felicia because I'm more confident as Felicia. So I'm still working on the vulnerability piece, but I do think it's a beautiful thing to see. I'm a huge Brene Brown fan, and I think when we talk about vulnerability, she says something that's really interesting, where she goes, yes, you know, vulnerability can allow you to feel anxious. It can make you feel scared and uncomfortable. But vulnerability is also the birthplace of joy, acceptance, and belonging. You cannot experience those things without being vulnerable. And the example she gives is, the minute you love someone, you have no guarantee that they won't one day leave you, and that's vulnerable. So they might pass away, they might decide that they're no longer in love with you. So just loving someone is an act of vulnerability. So I think it's something that we all have to work on eventually if we really want to connect with other people.
magically said. Joe, do you have any comments? I know it was a directed question for Felicia, but do you have any comments you want to add?
I'm super glad I'm sharing that show with both of you, honestly. And Felicia, I'm really glad I had the chance to meet you tonight and share this episode with you. So I think
too, Joe.
that's all I have to add, I guess.
All right, we have quite the love fest happening here, and we love all of you who are supporting and giving us questions at this time. And we're going to move on to the next question. Just a reminder that the show does run off donations. Just going to say that one more time. If love is supposedly blind, why do I have to get dressed up in my hair and makeup before a date? Just FYI, it would not bother me in the least to be seen with him in his sweatpants and bedhead hair. There we are. That's the question. Joe, you're in the hot seat.
For you. Do it for you. Like, if you want to get dressed in a gala dress or gown to just go grocery shopping, what's stopping you? And if you want to go to a date in your sweatpants, then do so. If you don't want to shower for 3 days, who is going to stop you? You know, like, just do what's good for you and what makes you comfortable, and show what you want to show to the rest of the world. As long as you're okay with what you're showing, they're gonna accept it or not, but do it for you. That's I'm gonna repeat it again and again and again and again. But the most important part is for you. If you want to feel more comfortable and in fierce because you have makeup on and if you've done your hair and everything, go for it. That's amazing. Do that. But I've been to first date in like sweatpants and without makeup and maybe even some like, you know, stuff between my eyes or stuff. If they're not okay with that, that's on them. If they're not okay with you having too much makeup on, that's on them as well. And you won't be able to control what they think of your image anyway. So do what's best for you. That's all.
Boom. Only thing to add to that is, and be with people who respect you for being you.
I have a forked answer to this question because there's what I do and there's what I believe. So it does take me 2 hours to get ready, which can be very, very frustrating because oftentimes the men that I see don't understand that. They're like, can I meet you now? And it'll be like 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like I need time to get ready because like I said, I do not go on a date or sleep with anyone without having full face on, fully done up, hair, everything. Like I've got to be done from head to toe. Here's the thing I find funny. So I realize that this is my own issue because I just had this conversation with my cousin where we were saying that like, oftentimes I'll listen to my girlfriends be like, oh my God, I need to do my makeup. I have a date tonight. And every time I talk to my guy friends, they're always like, I love a woman who's not done up. And I think it's so funny because women do makeup for other women. And I know this because I've worked in this industry for the last 20 years. And I can tell you, women do makeup for other women because most men, I would say 80% of men will prefer a woman who has almost virtually no makeup on. And I just find it so funny because there's this preconceived notion that women are like, no, he wants me to be fully done up. I'm like, no, he doesn't. So if you're doing it, do it for you. Literally do it for you. And I find it funny because the flip side to that is how men grandstand. And men do this as a pissing competition for other men because they're like, oh, the woman's going to think it's so hot when I come in with the money and the cigar. And I'm like, no, they're not. They're going to laugh at you. I know this because they come talk to me after like, oh my God, he came with a cigar and he was like, I make all this money. And I was like, oh my God, like whatever, go away. And I think it's so funny because men actually do that to prove themselves to other men. So to again, like, and Joe, I love that you said this before because I'm so grateful that we got to be on the show tonight. I really feel that what you say resonates with me. I really respect your opinions. Do it for you. Do it for you. If you're not doing it for you, it's probably not the right reason.
Love this. Love this. This is a love fest. Definitely. All right. All right. As a cis male, I'm gonna have to say, I like the less makeup look, the more natural look. But in certain situations, it's nice to be glammed up, in which I would try to be glammed up as well, like dress nicely, and do what I can as well to be respectful to my partner. But I don't demand that of anyone else, except maybe hygiene. Hygiene is the only kind of thing that I'm very keen on. I know Joe mentioned don't shower for 3 days, but it's that's the only thing I would kind of caveat I'd put in afterwards. I usually like to think that when I'm going to be at a place that I'll be seen, I try to dress nicely. I don't think I dress the best, but I do believe I try to dress up.
I've seen you in some very cute outfits. I'm going to throw that out there right now. I think you are very fashion conscious. So, and whether you do it because you're thinking about it or whether it comes naturally, I just have to say I've seen you in some very nice ensembles.
I don't think I'm very fashion conscious, but I will like a look and I will wear it, and I don't care about the trends. Like, for example, my sideburns, which also aren't showing up on camera. Oh, I'm getting old. It's turning white. That is, anytime I go to a barber, they say, you want us to trim your sideburns? I'm saying no, because, I kind of like it. And I know it's not the fashionable length, but I don't give a fuck about the fashionable length. I just wear it the way I want to, and it helps me look distinctive. I had a very distinctive look when I first met Felicia. I had long hair down to it. Well, if I pulled it straight, it would touch my ass.
And how many of us touched your ass?
Hello. All right. There is but that was a very distinctive kind of part of my look that I was proud of.
It was a good look.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was distinctive.
I think so.
All right. Now I think let's continue this love fest with some more questions. Eddie, tips for someone who wants to try drag for the first time. I guess it's good that hold it, we have 2 drag performers with us tonight. because Felicia is a drag queen. Joe Kiddo is also a drag king. So Felicia.
So I am going to quote the fiercest mother of them all. Miss RuPaul says, "We are born naked, the rest is drag." So I'm going to say this. Drag is not, I meet so many people that'll be like, I can't do drag because I don't know how to do makeup like you. I can't do drag because I don't have your costumes. I can't do drag. Drag is a state of mind. Drag is a way that you project yourself. It's how you feel. It's a confidence. That's why we say fierce, because you feel fierce. You are in yourself. You are living a fantasy. And I, think about things like the Vogue balls in New York from, the 1970s, 1980s. The whole idea behind ballroom culture and voguing was, you would do a category, and the idea was that could you pass in that category? So if the category was, Wall Street realness, the idea was, could you pass for someone who works on Wall Street? And that's it. It's the creation of a fantasy. So I would say this: if you're starting out drag, first of all, find out what it is that you love about it. Like, is it the costumes? Is it the choreography? Like, find out sort of what sort of gets you excited about it, and then lean into that. Like, and this is what I love about the art form is, one of the things that makes me, that I find so disappointing is when people start ranking people's drag. Straight men shouldn't be allowed to do drag because they're straight. I'm like, that's stupid. Women shouldn't be allowed to do drag because, drag is reserved. Like, if you're a drag queen, I know a lot of bio queens who serve a look better than other queens I know. I think the whole thing is, if you have a point of view and you want to use drag as an art form to express it, just do it. And I'll tell you this. If you doubt anything I'm saying right now, go to my Facebook, go to my profile pictures, and go to the very first one I posted. It might be the worst picture of a drag queen you will ever see in your life. And I am constantly asked why I left it up. And I always tell people because I'm so friggin' proud of it, because it was my first time. And even though I look back at it now and maybe it's messy and maybe the wig looks like it's plastic, I was so proud of it. We all start somewhere. Lean into it, because drag is a celebration of life. So if you want to do it, that's where you start. Find out what you love about it and lean in.
All right. Felicia Rayne for Canada, RuPaul's Drag Race Canada. So, Joe.
Am I a drag king? I've never thought of myself that way. I think you're referring. Sorry, am I playing with my microphone or something?
You are. I thought that was in your bio. I forgot.
Yeah.
Then.
No worries. I did play with my gender expression back in Halloween. I think that's what you might be referring to. Like, on my Instagram, I have a picture with like a fake beard, and like I played with my jawlines and stuff. But I wouldn't consider myself drag. I just tried and experimented a bit more, because I'm non-binary and I'm still coming to terms with that as well. But yeah, so I don't feel like I'm the best person to actually answer for that question. And Felicia said all the right things, and Felicia knows better, because definitely I don't consider myself a drag performer, but just have fun, trust yourself, experiment, I guess, as Felicia said, and nothing can go wrong as long as you have fun and you're proud of yourself. Yeah, that's all.
Boom. You both said it all. So thank you. Thank you very much for whoever wrote your question. I think we might have time for a few more questions if anyone wants to get some sent in. We are... there we go. Did I put this up? Did I miss this comment? Misty Portugal saying, oopsie, I'm a soap and water kind of person. I believe this was about cleaning sex toys. My bad. Next purchase after pads and tampons must be toy cleaner. Well, no, it's specific. If it's something that's not damaged by the soap, then it should be not a problem. All right. We have another question in the queue, ready to go. And how do you find the couple when you are being the unicorn? There's so much complaining about it, but like, I want that problem. There we are. So somebody who Oh, I'm in the hot seat. So somebody who is looking for a couple to partner up with, or just maybe, I'm not sure if they're asking for like a one night thing or possibly an ongoing thing. You can find, well, go to the wiggle room because there's always couples that seem to be looking for a third there. That's something that does happen there. If you are the unicorn, approaching couples is not a bad thing. Just makes sure that they are both attracted to you, and that you are attracted to both of them, because that is going to be the serious question. And I don't think. I think a couple may. I don't think anyone would be aggressively upset if you approached them as a unicorn. I see Felicia's eyes going a little bit wide, so I may be wrong in that manner. There's also the online option, but there's a lot of creeps in the online, so do make sure you're meeting somebody in public. And Felicia.
The only reason my eyes popped, and they did pop, microfacial expressions, yay! Is just because I don't meet couples, and it's an insecurity thing. I'm going to be really, and I never say that. I always lie about this all the time. I'm like, I don't meet couples just because like I really like a one-on-one connection. That's bullshit. Like I would totally do a couple. I'm just so afraid that I'd be being judged by one person. I don't know why that is. It freaks me out. And so I can't bring myself to, and I'm asked all the time. I'm always like, do you want to be our third? Do you want to be our third? And I'm like, no, because I just want that one-on-one connection. That's an absolute lie. So here's my vulnerability, Wendy. I'm doing it now, but I can't do it when it comes. I'm just like, no, it's a connection thing. No, it's just that I'm so afraid that I'm going to be judged for not being as good as the other person, as interesting, as attractive. And that's really sort of what stops me with the couple thing.
Boom. Joe.
I think you have to be careful about why do they want a third person. If you do approach them and a couple is like, oh yeah, for sure, like have they actually thought about it? Is it an escape way for them? Like they're not happy together and they're looking for something else, like that added spice, but maybe something's wrong between the two of them at first, and adding a third person is not going to resolve what's going on in the relationship. So I'd say you have to be careful about that, because also like society taught us that a man being with two women is like, oh yeah, like I'm the best, I have two women with me at the same time. It's like that final fantasy for a lot of cis men, and I completely agree with it. It can be super fun, but like, is it just that made them want to have, let's say, a second woman in the relationship? Is it because they actually do want to have a third person? Because are they actually emotionally and intellectually and physically available for that? So whatever you do, just ask those questions. And I'm really not the best person to talk about that. There are a lot of resources. I'm thinking about a throuple, I guess. I hope they define themselves that way, on TikTok, that actually give a lot of tips and questions you should ask your potential partners to make sure you're getting into something safe and that's not going to be too draining and too hurtful for you. So be willing to go into a deep conversation, because it shouldn't be just, oh yeah, let's get into bed together. It can be just that, but if you want more, be careful.
Boom. I do want to address the fact that I think both Joe and I did make the assumption that the unicorn was female identifying, which not necessarily the case. And I'd also like to speak to the fact that you need to meet both of the people before you go to a private area with them. Just so you have a good, trust your instincts, make sure you're attracted to both of them, and that everybody, like a threesome's horrible if not everybody's attracted to everybody else. Somebody will have to be a great multitasker. I say that a lot of the time. I might add to the shop, which is on the link tree as well. I might add a T-shirt that just says multitasker for those who think they're going to be good. To go to Joe's description of the cis male fantasy is like, it's like, why do you want two women when you're just going to disappoint both of them? So there is that. I do. I just want to address that everybody is interested in everybody else, and you've outlined what your goals are before clothes start coming off. Joe said that rather well, and I don't really need to add that. You need to have your boundaries discussed before you're in the heat of the moment or people are expecting certain things. All right, we're ready for the next question. We have a couple more questions to get to. So speaking about hygiene, my girlfriend does burlesque and I have begged her to shower before coming to bed. She often forgets and I wake up with glitter in places I never thought it would go. Should it be wrong to tell her I'm busy on nights she performs, so she has to sleep in her own bed? Joe, what is your take on that?
Communication. Again, we've talked about that a lot during that episode, but yeah, I see a lot of communication issues in there, and I guess you should first and foremost tell them how you feel about the glitter situation, because yeah, glitter is not fun. I don't like glitter, and I do burlesque, so yeah, I get it. But yeah, you should be able to ask them, especially if they come to sleep in your bed, like, put your boundaries straight and forward on the table. Like, if you don't want glitter in your bed, that's completely fine, and they should understand that without you having to lie about being busy or anything. And about their hygiene, that's on them, and you can't necessarily control it. You can just ask for what's best for you, and they are going to decide if they want to make that effort or not for you. And you both just have to either accept it or not and see where that gets you.
Well said. I'd like to add to this. Glitter doesn't always all come off in the shower. There's sometimes it's going to stick and it'll still make it to your bed even if they did shower. Some makeups, when a performer is wearing makeup, it can be very thick. There's a certain scent to it. I would find that a bit more annoying in the bed than just some glitter. Though glitter is often referred to as the herpes of burlesque. There is the other thing too is maybe they find your shower less inviting. So make sure it is clean and ready for them. Because I don't imagine they're going to get in your bed without you waking up, so you would kind of see the state that they're in. So make sure that your shower is inviting. If you're going to have feminine hygiene products, if you're going to have a spare toothbrush, make sure you've got some soap that they would like to use, something they like the scent of, in the bathroom as well. Felicia.
I have a lot to say about this, so strap in, kids. Number one, I love that we called it burlesque herpes, because back in my day, we called them raver scabies. You had raver scabies. Here's another fun fact for you. There is a medical condition. It is called glitter lung. And this is a real thing. You can actually die from it, because glitter is actually tiny little pieces of metallic paper that if you inhale too much of it, starts to cut up the insides of your lung. So be careful with glitter. And I'm saying this as a makeup artist. There is some glitter that we can apply to our bodies. There is other glitter that we cannot. So please be careful with your glitter. 3, to your point, love doctor, glitter can be very hard to take off. So be kind to the person wearing glitter. I am someone who I shit glitter. Like, there's glitter everywhere. I'm made out of glitter. I think I'm probably, like most people are made out of water. I'm glitter. Here's a great trick though. Here is a great trick. Take a piece of masking tape. No, not masking tape, Scotch tape. Take a piece of Scotch tape, wrap it around your fingers, okay? tap it on your hand to take away some of the tackiness. That is a really great way to remove glitter, because the glitter will stick to the tape. So instead of spreading it all around your face, you're literally just pulling it off the skin without hurting the skin, because you've already taken off some of the tackiness. That being said, I 110% agree with Joe. This isn't about glitter at all. I'm like, there are communication issues here, because if your first thought is, can I lie to her? The answer is no. You absolutely cannot. Like, man up and fucking talk about the glitter. Because if you can't do that, this is probably not a healthy relationship. You should be able to be like, hey, babe, there's a lot of glitter in my bed. I'd like for there to be less glitter in my bed. Could you possibly take a shower before? That's so easy. Like, I mean, if that is a conversation you can't have, there are much bigger issues in your relationship than glitter. I'm telling you that right now. And glitter can be an issue, as we've seen with Mariah Carey's movie.
Oh, nice. Everybody has had a chance with that question, yes?
Can I
Yes.
add just one last thing? As a fellow burlesque performer and just performer as well, I'm sure, Felicia, you're going to agree on that. Performing on stage can be so draining. Like, when you get home, you're like, you're empty. And you too, actually, the Love Doctor. Sorry, I didn't include you in that. But yeah, it's just, you're just empty inside. You just gave everything you got on stage. So why don't you offer a nice experience for your girlfriend when she comes home? Just warms up, like a towel. Just get some candles in the bathroom. Like, if that's an issue for you, and maybe they're not like physically, or they don't have the energy to put that effort in for you, meet them halfway. Make something nice for them so they want to have that nice shower moment when they get home. Because honestly, when I get home from performing, I just want to crash and lay on the floor and just sleep for 3 days. Sometimes I go to bed. Sorry to everybody listening, but I go to bed with my makeup on because I'm just too drained and too tired. Yeah, you're exhausted. You don't even think straight anymore. So do something for them. Just warm in the shower. Draw them a bath, even. If you have a bathtub, just do that. And that's going to make such a huge difference. If you don't go to see their show, which I understand, not all of performers' partners want to be there at every show, because sometimes they can be a lot, and sometimes we're busy, and sometimes they can have other stuff to do, and that's okay. But be there for them and show that you support what they're doing, whether it's burlesque or anything else. If you know they've been having a rough day, because it's going to be rough. Even if it's a great show, it's rough.
It's
offer
tiring.
that to them. Yeah. So that might be what your girlfriend is missing when she comes home from a performance and she's just exhausted. And so that could be something that helps her remind herself that she has to be more mindful about the glitter in your bed.
Agreed.
There is something that I do feel I need to address because I Googled it immediately afterwards. I checked Snopes and I actually checked Hoaxology as well. Glitter lung isn't a real condition.
I have raver friends who have had glitter lungs, sir.
All right. I have told jokes on stage of how if you get an X-ray with glitter lung, it's a disco ball. But I thought I was not making fun of a real condition, so I just...
Listen, otherwise I just have the consumption.
Right.
This is very possible. That's very possible.
All right. Moving on to hopefully happier thoughts. Sorry, I'm a little tipsy, but tonight's been awesome. Not really a question. I would thank you very much for tuning in. Please hit the like button.
Be Christopher. Christopher, if you're tipsy, my Instagram is at Felicia_Rayne. And I accept Canadian Tire money and have no gag reflex.
All right. There it is, Felicia_Rayne on Instagram. We've got a couple more questions to get through, so we'll try to get them all in. But it's Joe Kiddo, all one word with an underscore afterwards on Instagram is our other guest. My manager has in his link tree my Instagrams. So let's just move on to the next question. 47 monkeys jumping on the bed. Felicia looks hot in black and red. Oh, we got poetry. Joe has been amazing. Please come back, we beg. Hey, love doctor, I watch you on the reg. There we are. We got some poetry and we got another question. Let's bring that up. We've answered that one. Do we have? No, that was it. That was the last question. We end it with a piece of poetry. Delightful in the black and red, Felicia, the fantastic Joe Kiddo as well. And we hit the 100 subscribers. So we're going to be doing a giveaway and next week, and hopefully I'll be able to announce our new vanity URL that having 100 subscribers will give us on YouTube. Really hope that works. I'm the Love Doctor. I love you all. Any parting words, my fantastic guests?
I just want to say it has been an absolute blast to be here with Joe. This is the first time we've had a chance to sort of sit down and interact. And Joe, I think you are fantastic. And it has just been such a privilege. And Love Doctor, we go way back. I adore you. I am always so grateful to be a part of your show. I think it's super cool that I got to be on the one where we hit 100 subscribers. So very, very cool. So thank you both for tonight. This was really special for me.
Anything to add, Joe?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, congrats to you on the first 100 subscribers, because I know you've been working so hard and you've given us so much joy, fun, jokes, and everything else that you completely deserve it. And I don't understand why there's not an extra 0 at the end of that. But hey, small steps. We're going to get
bad
there.
At marketing. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can help with that, maybe. But yeah, just putting it out there. And Felicia, also, I'm so glad I had the chance to meet you tonight. And I'm still pretty new in the industry and in the communities and everything in general. And that could not have been a better first time on any kind of podcast or show or anything. Honestly, I've had so much fun, and I can't wait to see more of those amazing episodes and advice you all give every week. And thank you for everyone who's been watching and listening and sending questions, of course.
Boom. As I always say, I love you all, but I'm a bit of a slut like that. Have a good